Bose is the presenting partner of Beyond the Grid. That's because Bose Quiet Comfort 35.2 goes beyond what you would expect from a pair of headphones. Just flip the switch to experience the industry-leading active noise reduction feature, and all distractions of the world around you fade away, allowing you to focus on what matters to you.
Hi, I'm Stefano Domenicali, and you're listening to Beyond the Grid.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Beyond the Grid. My name's Tom Clarkson, and joining me this week is a man who used to be the team principal of Ferrari. I've known him for many years. In fact, we sometimes used to run the tracks together on a Thursday night. At least we did until he took the top job, because he then no longer had time. Either that, or perhaps he just got bored of showing me a clean pair of heels. I'm talking about Stefano Domenicali. He's had an extraordinary career. He spent 23 years at Ferrari, where he worked his way through the ranks to become team principal for more than 5 years. And beyond no illusions, he ran a very slick racing team. His Ferrari was a very fast Ferrari and an approachable Ferrari. Of course, he's no longer with the team. He swapped the horse for the bull, and I'm not talking Red Bull, but Lamborghini. So he's no longer involved in F1, and it was fantastic to sit down with him again to do this podcast. Stefano lives in Monza, and while at the Italian Grand Prix, I headed over to his place and had a good catch-up. As ever, he was courteous, thoughtful, and provided great insight, including some tales that I'd never previously heard. I hope you enjoy it. Well, Stefano, welcome to Beyond the Grid. Just a quick word on where we are. We are just opposite the Monza Park. And for a man who was born in Imola, I can quite see where your passion for racing came from.
Well, actually, that's a sign of destiny, you know. I was born in Imola, my wife was born in Monza, and we live basically in the park of Monza. So, as you know, from our house to the track is literally 5 minutes, even less, with a bicycle. So that's, as I said, a sign of God. And the passion started when I was very, very young. When I was a kid in Imola, you know, watching all sort of racing, 2, 4, more than 4 wheels, I don't remember, but that started from there. And then, funny enough, it seems strange, but it's true. When I was a teenager and was going at school, you know, during the weekend, I was a guy that was going to the track of Imola, helping, in the specific case, in the paddock, the truck to be parked in. So I remember that was I had picture, by the way, when I was young, and I was parking the track of all the F1 team, and I had picture with people that later on became almost my colleagues, and that was funny, but it's true, and that's something that is very special to me because it reminds me, you know, my roots.
But where did this passion for cars come from? Is it at your family?
Not really. The passion is coming from the fact that, you know, when you are born in Imola, or you're born in Imola, the school are behind the track. In that moment of life, there were racing of motorbikes, of cars, and of course the fact that the Ferrari has nominated the track in Imola, you know, these sort of things. And you start up in having all the weekend trying to be curious, looking around, and that's really where the passion came from.
So there's a passion for racing. Now, it's been 4 years since you left Ferrari. How much do you miss Formula One?
Well, of course, Formula One has been my life for my life, apart from 4 years, I would say. Now, 23 years in Ferrari, only in Ferrari. It is something unique and special. And for sure, the passion is staying. The stress is very high when you are in Formula One, mainly with the Ferrari team. Of course, I miss it from one side, but on the other side, what I gain is really more time for my things, for my family. The weekend, I always watch the race because that's my, as I said, my passion. I'm still involved in that sort of things because I'm in the World Motorsport Council as a FIA president of the Single Seater Commission. So, you know, I'm always in contact with everyone there. Therefore, it's something that I do follow in a different way, of course. But now I'm totally committed to a different job that is very interesting.
We're going to come on to that in a minute, but just a bit more about Ferrari. You say 23 years, and it was a fascinating career path for you because you really worked your way through the team. In fact, was there a department that you didn't work in?
That's a good question. Maybe in production with the hand, I would say. Apart from that, I started with business administration in fiscality. Then, parallel to that, I was also responsible because I was a race director for MotoGP and cars. So I was a race director at Mugello. Then that responsibility came to me.
I'm really sorry to interrupt. Are you related to the Domenicali?
No. No, of course we know very, very well, but there's no familiar relation.
He worked for Ducati.
Yeah. So no. And then during, let's say, the Formula career, parallel, I was always involved with the activity of a track, so I know quite well. And it was a great experience, also being a race director, at that time. And then I move in the different departments like sponsorship, human resources, administration, team management, and so on, and then up to the maximum.
How did the Scuderia change during your 23 years?
Of course, it has been at the beginning. When I came in, it was a very difficult time. A lot of different changes every year. There was a reshuffle, difficult moment. I remember when I came in, there were Berger and Alesi with a V12 that was sounding incredibly high, beautiful music. But we had a lot of problem, reliability, organization. Then since 1991, end of 1991, also Montezemolo came as a president. And he started, the foundation of a new era. In 1993, Jean Todt came as a team principal of Ferrari, and I was working with him since the first day, because actually I moved from the first 2 years on the GT side to F1 department when he came in. So, and from that moment onward, we had an incredible period where, I would say Montezemolo together with Todd were able to create a great team. Ross coming in, Rory coming in, Paolo Martinelli, head of engine, all these people together. Then we had, of course, the fantastic period with Michael, together with Rubens, with Eddie Irvine. This period was really an incredible time where I was a sporting director. It was really something unique, I would say, a period difficult to repeat.
Do you feel that Todd and Montezemolo took you under their wing? Were you their protege?
Absolutely. I think that they make me grow. They realized that they had to have fully trust on me because I was fully dedicated for the job. I remember, when you are in that business, you work day and night with no stop. And I felt that there was a commitment from them to make me grow. And I have to say that at the end of the day, they were the one that decided to put me at the last stage as a team principal. So I will always remember that, and we always thank them for that.
What did you learn from those two guys in particular? Is there one thing that stood out from each of them?
I think that they are for sure different people with different characters, but both very, very passionate at their job. Montezemolo had a previous sporting experience, but then when he was there, he was able to reshuffle mainly the image and the cars on GT side in a fantastic way. Then he was able to hire the Todd that was very focused on the way of working, very detailed, very spot on in all the details, and never give up, always with a lot of dedication, with a lot of pressure on everyone. So I would say that it was, and it is also now, because in any case we still have a relationship very strong, a great reference not only for me, but for all the people that were working in Ferrari in that time.
Talk to me now about the influence of Michael Schumacher on you, because you were there throughout his time at Ferrari.
At the beginning, Michael came in, I remember, he was for sure already great and incredible as a driver. And you felt that since the first time that when he came in 96, very, very focused. You understand immediately how different was from the other in terms of way of working, and of course in terms of talent. But later he was a little bit cold at the beginning because he was coming from a different mentality. Then the relationship grows a lot day by day, and I would say on top of the business point of view, we were able to create an incredible relationship that was really out from the normal business perspective. We were able to create together in a sort of things where, out of the hours where we were on track, we were able to stay together, playing together, getting out at the restaurant with the team together. So creating really an incredible atmosphere. Difficult, as I said, to repeat because that was very, very specific to that. But on the professional side, I would say what I learned from him and what he teach to the Formula One together with the engineers. He was able to, let's say, I use this kind of example, close the eye and try to do a super slow-mo with a performance perspective in order to see that every single frame of the lap, in this case, had something to give in terms of gaining an advantage. Therefore, by doing that, he was able, once again as an example, to invent together with the engineers the different switches to be able to have different performance at the braking, at the entry of the corner, in the middle of the corner, at the exit of the corner, adjusting the brake balance during the straight. So that was the ability of, let's say, closing the eyes and try to think step by step what I can do to improve my level as a driver and as a team. So that was, for me, the most incredible thing that I saw when we were working together.
And he was more than a driver to Ferrari?
Yes, I mean, he has such a charisma that was really something more than a driver. Then step by step, he understood his role that was more than that. And I think that, for example, I remember that officially he didn't want to speak Italian because he was too precise to allow himself to make a little grammatic mistake, as we are doing when we speak English as an Italian. But inside the team, he was much more relaxed. But he has a sort of this kind of self-protecting mode when he was out of the environment of the team. And on that, I remember that, I do believe that, I remember when we discussed about it, when he decided to retire for the first time, it was not because he was connected to the activity itself in the team. He was living day and night with the team. It was more what it was, the pressure from the outside that was something that, let's say, he had more difficulties to do it in the way that, of course, a person like him or a super important VIP like he has to be treated, has to behave. So, but the way that he was leaving the team was totally incredible and fully committed to this kind of way of working. And another thing that I have to say that for me was really incredible, that you never heard from him any single word against the team. In case of a mistake, in case of a problem, never. Inside, of course, very tough to say something cannot happen, blah, blah, blah. But outside, I remember when he had the big crash in Silverstone, if you remember.
99, when he broke his leg.
When he broke his leg. The problem was that we didn't fix a joint in the braking, in the tube, so there was no pressure. And so there was a mistake. But he never said that officially. He never said anything against the team publicly. And this is something that when you are part of such an intense, when you are part of this group, that makes the difference. Because then you are totally dedicated. I remember the mechanics, the technicians were totally with him because of this.
Is that what differentiated him from the other great drivers of the era? And I suppose I'll say it, I'm thinking Fernando Alonso.
I would say Fernando, I do believe Fernando is, and it's a shame that now I heard that he will retire for Formula One, because it would be a big loss. Because I rate Fernando an incredible driver. But Fernando was really good with the team, let's say, with this team, it was really fantastic. We want to keep everyone joined together with him. Fernando, at the beginning, don't forget, he's Latin. So it's natural that everyone has a different characteristic in terms of relationship and in terms of attitude. And if you see that, I would say that, as always, when you have such a temperamentum, or you are such a personality, of course, there are certain moments where it's not easy to control. But I have to say that with myself, I didn't have any issue. There were certain moments difficult, because when you are in a team where you want to win and you don't have the best car, because what I would say, what is the difference from these two periods? Is that from one side we had the best team ever in terms of positions in all the roles, in terms of performance, in terms of drivers. While when Fernando was with Felipe, the car unfortunately was not really the best so far for a lot of reasons. And despite that, we were able to get close to win championship. I would say very unlikely we didn't win 2010 and 2012 for two different reasons. But despite that, we were able to arrive at the end fighting for the championship. And this is an element that, is not given for granted, because top drivers needs to have a good car. So in that respect, it's natural that if you are not able to get it, the tension is growing, because it's the nature of all the championship that they want to do it. And you see today, you see in the past, that's the nature of the approach of a driver that is a champion, that knows that he has a slot of a certain year, and he feels anxious if he sees that on the other side, for whatever reason, certain element of the equation are not going in the right direction. So you need to consider also this. But I would say, once again, going to Fernando, I do rate him so far, yet, even if he has unfortunately not the right package, a driver that is able to make a big difference.
Now, here's the $1 million question. Who was the better driver, Schumacher or Alonso?
That's a good question. I would say, as always, in terms of numbers, Michael. But Fernando, don't forget that he was able to win. He was able to get closer to be very successful also with Ferrari. As I said, in my view, first of all, Michael has finished his career. Fernando, not yet. So let's see if he will be able to win. If he will be able to win the so-called triple. What is the name?
The Triple Crown.
Triple Crown. Yeah. Yes, I really hope for him that he can do it.
Yeah.
But for sure, it would have been nice to see them competing with the same car, to see who was the best.
Oh, that would have been something, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But look, there's something about Michael I'd love to touch on, in that brilliant driver, you've said that, brilliant team player, you've said that, brilliant team moulder. So how do you explain the controversies that came with him? And I'm talking Jerez 97, Austria 02. Well, Jerez 97 when he crashed into Villeneuve.
I was there.
No, I know.
I remember.
I'm explaining for the listeners.
Sure.
And of course, Austria 02 when him and Rubens swapped on the last lap. Monaco 06 in qualifying. Exactly.
He lost the car.
Yeah. But how did he explain those to you? How do you explain them?
I go back to the point that I said to you before. Drivers, they are performing at the maximum level, but they are drivers. And when they close the visor, they are living in their universe, not even their planet, in their universe. Therefore, when the peak of tension sometimes is too high, they are human beings. And so it's human that in certain moment you may have, you do believe to be over, the line, and you can do something. But they are too intelligent to understand that. They maybe not recognize that in front of the others, because once again, the drivers are used to wear the helmet. The helmet is not only a safety protection, it's a protection from being real on face-to-face. So in a sort of a pure communication, I would say, point of view, some of them will never say that they did some mistake. They will recognize after. But as I said, when you're a champion, in all the sport, you see that sometimes something happened that caused them to do mistake.
Yeah, well, he was a brilliant man, but I suppose we all have our flaws, don't we? And let's talk now about you being the team principal. It was a great moment. I remember we used to run the track occasionally when you were sporting director. You didn't have time when you became team principal. We never did that. But can you remember the phone call or the moment you were told that you had the big job?
Yes, I remember very well because I was on holiday.
Where does Stefano Domenicali go on holiday? Where were you?
Normally, I'm going to the Dolomites. where we have a house because I love the mountains.
Skiing
Or trekking, jogging, walking, because I love the atmosphere of the mountains. So Dolomites quite high, but it's really nice. But on that occasion, I was because it was November, end of the season. I was taking the family to Dubai. So I was there, I remember, and I received a call from Jean Todt, that he was in that moment. The last year, Jean Todt was becoming the CEO of the company. So he was more on CEO, managing the company than the Formula One. That he said to me that, that was the decision of the company. And I have to say that immediately after, I remember very well, of course, Montezemolo called me immediately. One call that we'll never forget is also the call from Ross. As you know, we are a very good friend. Really saying that he have heard that I was becoming a team principal, so he was congratulating to me, and that was something special for my members.
What about the pressure that comes with team principal? Because how did that affect you?
Well, of course, everyone is different from the other. Is trying to manage the pressure in a different way. I am a guy that is trying to keep all the tension inside, not to show off outside. Try to be very protectful to the people that I'm representing. And that's my style. I never shout, normally. It's not me. I don't want to cut and copy anyone else because everyone is different. So you cannot put a mask in front of your face because that mask sooner or later will fall down. Therefore, I'm trying to be in this condition a reference for everyone, try to take my decision, knowing that you cannot do everything alone, knowing that to make the difference you have to create a great team, otherwise it's difficult or almost impossible, and knowing that when you are in that role in Ferrari, it is something that is really special and unique. And I have to say today, if I'm thinking that being a very normal guy, I was able to be in that position for so many years in Ferrari. Now, in the other super sport brand of Lamborghini, being the chairman and CEO, it's something that if I think, well, I'm really proud, of course, but very lucky to think that I'm able to do that.
It's fantastic. But of course, when you were team principal, you came in and there was that wonderful rivalry with McLaren, wasn't there?
Yes.
Then? So yes. You got the driver's title in 2007 with Kimi, and then, of course, the whole Brazil 2008 with Felipe.
That was something I felt...
robbed.
No, it's not correct. But first of all, congratulations to Lewis that he was able to win his title. Yeah. But I felt very, very sad because on that year we won the constructor title for Felipe, because Felipe deserved that title. I remember that in Hungary he was leading easily the race, 1-2 laps to go. He had a failure on the main straight. There is still the hole on the main straight with the piston in the center of the straight, for sure. And he was deserving that title because Felipe is an incredible guy, an incredible driver that I met when I was in Ferrari, since he joined the team when he was 17. And I felt that that moment really, the faith was not with him and the destiny was not with him because he deserved that title.
How do you comfort a guy who thought he was world champion for half a lap? Or
23 seconds, 20
seconds.
But in that moment I remember like it was yesterday, everyone was already screaming, but I was watching the GPS on the map. And I was looking at Lewis approaching Glock. And when I saw at that the penultimate corner that he was getting closer, I said, I cannot say exactly what I was thinking on the phone, on the mic. But then I had to turn, and I remember there was on the screen the family of Felipe were cheering and so on. And then by radio said, please tell to Antonio, this is the father of Felipe, that unfortunately we have lost. And I remember that moment when you see someone is getting closer to them and they're saying something. It was tough. But after, I have to say that Felipe, if you look back at the image of the podium, he was so proud of what he was able to achieve that I was really impressed by the level of his reaction after this. And I remember later on we were together in the room when he was changed. He was basically out of the overall. It was his wife there and his family there, because it's very typical of him and of us, that we were watching one to the other on the ice without saying anything, because I would say what you can say. We didn't lose that title in that corner. But of course, when you lose in this way, it hurts a lot.
How do you console a man whose only dream up until that point in his life has been the championship, and it slips away like that?
I mean, you have to be authentic, because to say the same usual story, I mean, it's easy to say, but then he's coming in and he's getting out. I think more than that moment, you have to be close to him in the period after, because in that moment there is still the adrenaline that is very high, that is keeping you in any case in a sort of reaction mode. The problem is that is when you realize it. I remember the same situation when we lost 2010 with Fernando and 2012 with Fernando. I remember these nights we didn't sleep, and I said that is not possible. For the second time in a row, the last race, losing in that way. One, it was of course the fault of the team, because there were two drivers to cover, because after it's too easy. Vettel and Webber. And you know
we're talking 2010 here.
2010, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And we unfortunately, because of the safety car at the beginning, you know, there were traffic in the middle when we covered Webber and Petrov with the Renault. Okay, where is Petrov? I don't know if he's still racing or whatever it is. But in that race, I remember very well. You know, for Fernando was not able to overtake, and therefore it was really very painful. 2020, I would say, difficult more because we were leading the championship 50 points before the summer break. Then in 1-2, the race after, at the first corner, taken out from Kimi, from Grosjean, Romain and Kimi. And the last race was Vettel was involved in an accident, you know, with the primary exhaust broken. Normally you stop. You see all the cars. I remember.
I think Bruno Senna turned him round.
Yeah. Anyway, that's destiny. That's but you came out very, very strong after these things. Believe me, because it hurts physically a lot.
Do you stay in touch with Fernando now? Do you speak a lot?
Yeah. Well, I speak I spoken with him when he announced, his retirement from Formula One. But I speak also, with all the other guys. With Felipe, we are friends.
Yeah.
Of course, a special guy. Yeah.
Do you think Fernando's doing the right thing? Is now the right time for him to get out?
I mean, as I said, from Formula One perspective, it's a pity because I do believe that he's still one of the best, with no doubt. But of course, I also understand his frustration if there is not really a car. I mean, this year, as you see, there are two different championships, and if you're not in the first championship, the other are something that for Fernando, I would say, not enough after what he was able to win.
What's your proudest moment from your time at Ferrari?
The proudest moment as a team, or as a team, I would say, for sure, the fact that we were able to keep the team strong despite a difficult moment when after many years we were not able to win. And I was able to keep the focus by everyone. For sure, I was very proud when we won the constructor title in 2008 because the emotion of having lost the title with Felipe was, believe me, very, 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 very strong. And I would say on the other side, if I look back, the funny story is that I don't remember everything. I remember a lot of incredible things that we did, but I have always the stream that is connecting all these moments to be the proudest moment of my life, because every day I was really very lucky to be in that situation. If you think where I was born, in Imola, I did a normal school, university, and doing these things, every day living in this situation where everyone would like to be in your shoes. I think that this is something that, I was really proud.
All right, what about your best memory then?
Best memory, in terms of memory, that's a good question, because I have memories connected to the moments after the victory of the titles that are unique. Everyone. The first for sure was in Suzuka 2000 with Michael as a team. The celebration after was something unique. But also...
Were you in the log cabin?
Yeah, correct.
Which is the karaoke bar. So, yeah.
But also when we won the title in Budapest, middle of the season, winning 17 out of 18 races, when we celebrate in Spa, these were moments that really were only the team there, with no other people, really special, because of the relationship we were able to live in that moment.
So, fast forward to 2014, and when was it? April time, I seem to remember.
Yeah,
you were definitely,
something like that. Yeah.
So that's when it all comes to an end.
Yeah.
You resign from Ferrari.
Yeah.
Why? Was the writing on the wall for a little while prior to the announcement, or was it
No, I think that it was clear that because of the situation of the new engine, we were not able to find the right car. After a difficult year of 2013, I felt it was the right thing to show that there was a need of trying to reshuffle and to do something different. Therefore, I spoke with Montezemolo and I said, there are certain moments where you need to be strong and taking, I would say, the right decision for the team to see if someone is able to, let's say, get out from this moment, because it was a difficult situation of change of regulation where you have a lot of expectation and we were not able to deliver a great car. So I said, listen, I take the responsibility and I will be always a Ferrari man, because that will not change my perspective into the future. And that's really how it came out. I mean, I think it was natural after a difficult year, the previous year, and after a very bad start on 2014. So I went to see Montezemolo. I anticipate my thought, and this is what I did. Then I prepared a letter to all the people in Ferrari, because that was my family. And it was a very touchy moment that day when I anticipate before being public to the team. I collect all the 1,000 people, different by group, and one by one I shake hand. So it was really intense moment.
With all 1,000?
All the people, yeah. With all the people, yeah.
But Stefano, history would relate that you left Ferrari in a bit of a hole, actually, because the Mattiacci replacement didn't work out well, and they went into a bit of a trough after you left.
That, at the end of the day, I put myself at disposal of the team. Then is, you may accept or not accept, but I think that at that moment it was correct for me to do that. And of course...
Had the pressure become unbearable?
It was very high, for sure. That is normal in this moment in Italy, in that place. But that's something that is part of that job if you do it. So you need to understand. But I do believe that I did it because it was really something that you felt right to do.
Any regrets since then?
To be honest, it is a decision that it is not day and night. These kind of things, at least with my way of thinking, you digest it. Has to arrive after a lot of internal fight. Therefore, after this big internal fight, the decision was taken. After the moment, I said, okay. And if I look back, I said, considering the situation, the circumstances, it was the right thing to do.
So you'd said to Montezemolo, I am a Ferrari man. So was it ever on your agenda to work for another Formula One team?
No.
You knew at that moment that you were saying goodbye to Formula One?
I would say so, yeah. Because as a Ferrari man, you will, the way that I'm devoting myself to that team, to see me with another jacket in Formula One as a sport, I didn't feel good, let me put it this way.
Well, at least it gave you some time to be with the family.
Yeah, that's true. It was great
beautiful
time.
Kids. And so what did you get up to in that 2014 summer?
In summer, I was in the Dolomites.
You were back in the Dolomites?
Yeah, I was, and then helping with the normal things that you discover how big is the world out of Formula One. Because when you are there every day and night, you think that circle is unique, but the word is big. And I discovered even with more interest afterwards.
It's so interesting that in Formula One, we travel a lot and we meet lots of different people, but you actually had to step away to appreciate what else was out there.
Yeah, that's true, because I mean, it's too self-referential. Formula One, it's a world where inside you feel very important part of it, despite the role. I mean, no matter. Everyone feels unique. With a certain ego, with a certain position and so on. But if you look outside, as I said, the world is so big that you understand how limited is this kind of approach if you just focus on that. Therefore, I appreciate that aspect going out. But for sure, if you are passionate, Formula One will be always your passion. That is a different story.
So now look, cards on the table. So you go spend the summer in the Dolomites, and then the next thing I read is that you're on your way to Audi.
Yeah.
And was that to front up a Formula One team?
Let's say I was involved in another project. And then
that's what we all thought.
Yes.
At the time.
And then there was discussion at that time if Audi was able to get in. So parallel to my job that was really connected to a new project in mobility that was very interesting to me, I have to say, new stuff. Parallelly, it was interesting to see how it was possible for such a group to become in Formula One. But then, because of the things that happened, as you know, in Germany, that project basically stopped because of this.
So how did you wind up with the big job? You've got the big job at Lamborghini, chairman, CEO, everything. I mean,
yeah, it was great because I received during the meeting with my.
What did Montezemolo say? You're working for Lamborghini? What?
But by the way, Montezemolo left Ferrari because he had the discussion with Marchionne. So I informed him, of course. I remember my boss called me and he said, you will be appointed chairman of Lamborghini. Do you agree? It will be all right for you? I said, okay. I think it's a good challenge. And then I started that job with a lot of motivation. And I think that honestly we are doing, it's very positive time for Lamborghini. We are growing incredibly well, new models.
Put some numbers on that. How much is Lamborghini growing?
Growing, I tell you, is the 6th year of a growth. Last year we did the world record in terms of sales, 3,800. The first 6 months we have grown plus 11% already, but we have launched the new super SUV, the Urus, that will take us doubling the dimension. So in 2019 we're going to be around 8,000 car. So big,
which puts you on a par with Ferrari.
A little bit less, but yeah, in terms of numbers we are getting bigger.
Now, what about this SUV, Ferruccio Lamborghini? Yeah. Is he going to be turning in his grave?
No. Because the first SUV was really designed by Lamborghini. LM002, 1986, was the visionary project where Lamborghini was able to do the first SUV where, for example, Hammer, later on, they copied that. So they had that kind of issue. But I have to say the decision pragmatically is very easy to understand. Today in the world, the SUV in all the segment is growing like hell. Everywhere, in all the market, in all the segment, as I said. So there was the opportunity to be different in a super niche of a segment that is giving you the opportunity to be different because Lamborghini has to be different from the other brand. So it's a super sport car with a SUV dressing, 650 horsepower. It's handling like a super sport car. It's of course a car that you can use every day. So it's changing the dimension of Lamborghini. Making sure that we acquire more customers, different. But if you look at the success of Lamborghini today, is mainly with the young generation. We did a jump in 2 years, in less than 2 years, from 2.6 to 14 million followers in Instagram, for example. The kids speak about Lamborghini. We are connected to movies with the singers. And now what we did is to have a less polarizing image of like it or hate it, but we are really a brand of being very aspirational, very young, sporty, cool. We have defined a new way of being, of course you have to have a lot of money to buy the cars, but we are defining the so-called informal luxury. So that
Informal
luxury, sorry.
And how does that differ to Ferrari?
I would say quite complementary, by the way, I feel the situation, because Ferrari perspective in terms of customer is a little bit older. They have already acquired the status of being healthy people. Therefore, we are occupying so far a different part of the cake, on which I feel together we are really shaping the strength of the super sport car made in Italy.
And are you able to apply what you learned in Formula One to a road car company?
I think that I've learned a lot, but I'm trying to keep the way that the speed, the fact that the green flag is the green flag, there's no delay. So the time to reaction, the dedication, it's something that I bring as a DNA of what I have into the business.
And of course, you've got the new factory.
Yes.
So everything's more efficient?
Yeah, we have hired 500 people in less than 2 years. We have doubled the size of the company. It's an incredible challenge. We have an average of 38 years of older people, so very, very young. So it's a great challenge, I have to say.
So what chance Lamborghini in Formula One? Because they've been in before, of course, as an engine.
91, 92, I'm prepared on that. No, but
Senna tried. I remember they put the engine in the back of the McLaren.
Yeah, before going to Peugeot, it was already done. But at the end of the day, there was no money enough to pay for the commercial side of it, 1983. But I would say difficult in this moment, because the level of investment that Formula One so far needs to be, not to be competitive, to compete, is very high. And today, Lamborghini needs to invest in other priority, in new product, in the network, in the dealers, and we are consolidated a big growth. Therefore, in the short term, I don't see that possible. But in life, never say never.
Never say never. I mean, there's the 2021 engine regulation.
That is too early.
Too early.
Too early.
Okay. So, what about the future? I mean, you seem very happy in your new role. Of course, it takes you back to Modena, and you're just down the road from Ferrari. You know that.
I remember the first day I was taking the wrong street, because let's say if Modena is in the center and Maranello is left and Sant'Ade is right, I was going to the left, and I said, listen, I have to turn the steering wheel on the other side, yeah.
And you get a decent company car, I guess.
I would say so. I cannot complain.
But look, what does the future hold? Would you think we'll ever see you back in Formula One in some capacity? Would you be interested in a sort of larger management role?
I have to be respectful of all the great job that the people are doing today. I'm very happy in what I'm doing today. I'm following Formula One, as I said, because it's my life. But it will be presumptuous to say that is a possibility, to be honest.
Well, Stefano, it's been great to catch up.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thanks to you all.
Lots to reflect on there, and while Stefano's not going to be drawn on the controversy surrounding Michael Schumacher, his insight into the man, and in the aftermath of the crash at Silverstone in '99 in particular, I found very interesting. Thanks again for your time, Stefano. That's it for this week, but we've got another big name guest for you next week. And to make sure you don't miss out on that or any other episode of Beyond the Grid, why not subscribe? We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favourite podcast app. And if you want to get in touch, drop us a line using the hashtag F1BeyondTheGrid, or send me a tweet at Tom Clarkson F1. Your comments are fantastic, and some of them have really made me laugh. Beyond the Grid is produced by F1 in association with Audio Boom. Until next time, keep it flat out.